Hello everyone and welcome back here on the new Byte. My name is Hostess and today I have another PC video for you, though I have to say that's a little bit unusual. I'm planning to do something for my living room where I want to have an actual PC, not just a laptop, something more fixed basically, and that's a little bit more powerful. I have a few Raspberry Pis here, I have a Steam Link here, and they all don't really work in the way that I want them to. So I got myself into a lucky position where there was some office supply who didn't need old PCs, and from them I got them basically for nothing. So this is what we're using. An old i5 3470 CPU with no graphics card in there, no hard disk drive, and nothing else. I have a few things of myself here before we go, and I'm gonna build it up, of course. So that's what we'll do today, including software installation, a little bit of what I'm planning to do it, and in the second part we'll also go a bit into the software setup. So let's begin with this new Byte in 2020. Alright, welcome back. I already told you this PC does not have everything in it, so of course there's a few bit of extra hardware that I need for this build. The first thing that I have is this WD Blue SSD, super cheap, 500 gigabytes of space. I figured I'd rather go with an SSD still for this small system. It does have SATA 3.0 connectors, and actually because it has an SSD, it doesn't have spinning disks inside like an HDD, and in the living room of course I wanted to have it as quiet as possible. Speaking of which, there's also an intercooler inside there, but I figured I'd go a little bit premium with that. The CPU cooler will be from Noctua. This is the Noctua NHL9X65, which I use for this. This is one where you just put on top and the air gets actually pushed away from it, not just pushed through. So I'm sorry, I'm not an expert. I have to look it up what actually this kind of CPU cooler style is called. It's not just one that goes through the sides. Should have looked that up really. But whatever, it will be in the bottom row. That is as much as new hardware that I bought. And from the old hardware that I have this Club Radeon AMD graphics card. This is the one which I played Crisis 3 on back in the day. This is an AMD Radeon HD 7970. I even have the original box here. It has cool items on here like CoolStream, and it actually has even HDMI 1.4a, which goes up to 4960 to 3112 pixel in resolution. There's mini DisplayPort and even a dual link DVI cable output. So this could be really cool. I hope the power supply does take it, which I'm very sure of, and if not, I'm just gonna quickly go down the street to the hardware store that I have here around the corner and buy a new one. Last but not least, I also wanted to do something in the sound regard, because it's a media center PC in the end, and sometimes I just want to play music over it without having the TV on. And for that I have this nice audio card here, which I had since forever, like a decade ago. I bought this one for an old PC of mine, and I couldn't use it in my new PC because it doesn't have the right PC connector. So I can finally use it again in this old PC, and this will be splendid because it has excellent audio output that I can connect directly to, of course, my audio system in the living room. So that's all the parts. Let's open it up, what's really inside, take a look and clean it up, of course, and then let's build everything together. So with this PC, we need to do actually something very interesting. First I have to open it in the back here, which allows us to pull this one back, and then it actually opens up. So only then you can open these locks, then pull the sides off. Alright, so this is it. Very fascinating, of course. We have 2 sticks of RAM here, which we're gonna take out in a second. We have our Intel chip here, an ASRock B75 Pro 3 actual motherboard with even PCI Express 3.0. We have of course LAN on board and everything else with this power supply here, and I basically want to take everything apart and clean it up first. So let's start with that. that is, I have no idea what this is. Hopefully it's just dust, but it also looks a bit like pollen, so ew. Just taking this front cover off is just so symptomatic. So many like sharp edges that you really can cut yourself on. So many clamps here, things that stick into each other. Really tough to get off, but so worth it because now I can take it apart and clean it up as well. Because as you can see, it's quite dirty and needs a little bit of a scrub down at least. So yeah, let's continue cleaning up.
Tainted love is all we had. Our issues run so deep. Now when I try to sleep, I feel so bad. I should leave, and by the time it's done, I'll be
Alright, and we're getting almost done. Everything has been prepped, cleaned, and now we just need to put it all back together again. Hope so far it was interesting for you. I definitely had some interesting things. You just need to take it all apart, especially with these old, cheap cases, which are basically there with so many sharp edges. They just cut your hands up more of the time. And so far, I got lucky, so knock on wood that it stays that way. So yeah, let's put it all back together again. Alright, and here we are, and I noticed something quite embarrassing. I should have seen that immediately, but the moment I started, putting in the AMD graphics card, I noticed like, hang on, there is no power for that cable. And there's some cables up there, but they are Molex or that smaller form factor of that. They are not the one required that I need to power this GPU. So right now, the only thing that I can use is the internal graphics card of the Intel chip. And that lets me at least do some basic activities. I can connect it to a monitor, I can install at least the system OS and everything, and already installed at least the audio card that I also want to use for that. Well, I said I'm gonna boot it up and I'm gonna see what I can do with it, even without a GPU. So let's begin. Here's a new Byte from your studio house test, and I'm gonna install Proxmox on this old office PC and play around a little bit with it. So I don't know how this will all work out, but definitely at least seeing if the PC even boots. So let's turn on the power, which it already is, and start the launch button. Alright, so this PC on itself is not that exciting, of course. I mean, it doesn't even have LEDs in it, so I'm kind of glad about that. But I really want to make sure that it's actually working, so let's put it on. There it goes. Just need to hope for something. Okay, we have an image, and it already boots into the Proxmox installation. Well, let's install Proxmox. So what this is a virtualization host. And basically you can, inside of Proxmox, host a bunch of different software. And since we have a 4-core CPU, I was rather thinking, okay, let's see what we can do with it. I have 500 gigabytes of SSD in here, which are of course very quiet and nice. And as soon as I can, I'll also go into the motherboard BIOS and maybe tune down the cooler a little bit. Because right now, this is the loudest part of it, at least. Not the largest, the loudest. And if the GPU works next week when the power supply comes around, I'd much rather hope that it won't be as loud anymore. I need a mouse. Basically, the installation is super easy. You just have the license agreement that you agree on. You select the hard disk that you want to go on. I have nothing else in here, so this is the only one. And we just click next. So everything looks good. I'm gonna hit install and just wait until everything is set up. And afterwards, we can actually close this whole thing down because this is then fully set up server. I just need to have it turned on and connected to the network. And I can actually go over to my main PC and start doing things over there. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Hey folks, Editing House is here. Just one quick side note actually. In order to use Proxmox, you need to have 2 drives actually. One that's occupied by the server system, and the second one is actually that you want to use to install VMs on. So between this last cut and the one that you're about to see, I actually cleaned a 2 terabyte HDD from my main PC and put that into the server in order so I can use it. And I guess my 500 gigabyte SSD is a little bit too much actually. So just learning as we go and see how it evolves, and I'm happy to continue this video now. This video won't deal with how to set up Proxmox and how to install your VM. There's 2 good videos that I want to recommend to you. And what I want to show you is a cool application of this home server thing that I have right here. Because I was thinking, okay, why not use it as a Minecraft server? You know, that's a basic application. The system should be able to run it. And then I can play from here or from any other device in my home. I can invite friends over. They just install the Java version and we can all just play together on this nice server. So let's do that. Let's jump in with Proxmox. So what we have here is the login field. I just used the one that So how does Proxmox work? Basically, you install this on a machine, and this can even work on a home PC like this one. And this is basically the OS, and the OS provides already this web interface. It opens up a data center, and inside the data center are nodes. Nodes being the actual physical machines that we have. So this PVE here is the one that I installed. And as you can see, it has in the search already different types of storage and these monitor icons next to it. In the description, you can see these are actually virtual machines. So what we want to do next is actually go over and upload the ISO that we have. So we go to local here, just already provided, go to content. There's a few ISO files already on here. What we want to do is actually want to upload this ISO image. And what we want to use is actually the MineOS node stretch. Just upload that, hit upload. And this is actually real time, it's not accelerated. This is how fast data distribution works between my system and the server that I have running here. Since it's using an SSD, you kind of use the full speed of the SSD. And from my PC, it's reading from an HDD, which is of course fast enough. We see here now, okay, MineOS is here. We have it uploaded to the server. And now what we need to do is actually go back to PVE and create a VM. It's very simple. This will run on the machine PVE. This should work already out of the box then. Click on finish. And then it's getting set up. Creating as a question mark here because status is unknown. It says here create, status okay. And then we have our new VM here on the left. So this is all running on this old home office PC. And what we just need to do is actually hit start. So it boots up and then go to console. And this window then shows us, hey, this is what we would see if we would actually run a PC with only this system. So what we do, of course, is install hard disk, and then it just rushes through. All right, and now we should be able to use this server. And as I see here, just go to 192.168.178.95 and the port of 8443. If we want to put data on it, we just use this address through file server, for example. And yeah, let's just go over and actually open it up. We do that, it says, oh, this is a risk, and that's okay because it's a self-signed SSL protocol. We just go here and say, yes, we accept that because we trust our own machine. It should be safe. And then welcome to MineOS. So what we did here is use the MC user. There we go. And there we are. This is MineOS running inside of Proxmox on the actual PC that we had here that I showed you in the last video. All right, so looking up quickly, of course, what I need to do is I forgot to download actually profile. I was thinking it was done beforehand, not the case. So what we will do is we go in. I'm currently downloading just the latest version just for demo purposes. You can download any version of the server software that you want. You can even upload your own pre-configured or custom service if you want. We're gonna take the 1.15.1 version. Gonna download that. It's downloaded. Just create new server, give it a name, and just hit create new server. And then if you go over to the server page again, as I said before, select the profile, select the jar file, and then hit start. Maybe you have to accept the EULA. I did that now. First time apparently I didn't. And so in order to see in Minecraft that this actually is a server that's available on my network because everything's connected to my router that I have to go to broadcast to LAN, and if I refresh here, it just showed up in a second. Hang on, go out, multiplayer, should be able to find it. There we go. So join server, connecting to server, and should be working now because they actually found I didn't need to put in anything. It just broadcast to LAN, which is cool. For example, if you host a LAN party and you have like a small system, there we go, join the word. You can just bring this one PC connected. You just put the PC on the network and it automatically broadcasts to the LAN, which address it is, so you don't need to look it up. So that's the coolest feature of all. And yeah, I'm actually playing right now on my own Minecraft server on this home office PC, and gotta say, quite good actually. I've played Minecraft in a long while, and I know this is just vanilla, we can put on mods and everything, but just to show that it's actually working, you know, see, right now here, players online 1, I can go into the log, see, okay, someone connected, this is me, house test, the user has the IP of 24, so my PC is 24, and coming over the port 59958. So that's all the things that we have here. I could now go in and small messages, for example, right now. And for example, if I want to broadcast to my LAN party, hey, I'm closing down the server, I can just say the server now, broadcast that, go to my game and see here, oh, the server says server, close down the server, oh no. And once I hit, for example, in the admin page that it needs to stop, you can see already up there, Minecraft server closed, back to server list, and it will still show up, but we can't access it anymore. So join server says connection timeout and we'll be done. So yeah, that's how to set up within Proxmox, super simple, a Minecraft server. Hope you liked it. We can actually close this down now as well. You can go here, shut down, reboot. You can reboot the server itself. So it's really cool how far like homemade servers have come actually, and I'm really happy how it all works out. So this is one of the use cases for which you can use an old office PC, make it your own, you know, fix it up a little bit, and then use it, for example, like a Minecraft server in your own home. And the cool thing about this is you don't need to run it on your own PC. Additionally to the game, you have 2 different really computers. You can access this even from another computer, from a laptop. If you have a friend over, you say, hey, how about we play Minecraft? Here's my laptop, I go on my PC and we all play over this one server that's already pre-configured. So I personally think this is really great, and I hope you got something to learn from that as well. My name is Hostess, thanks so much for watching, and I think I'm gonna play more Minecraft now because why not? Just gonna use that whole thing. Oh yeah, one last thing. If you try to connect to these IPs and things that I mentioned here, you can't access that. That is only on my local network. They are not available from outside of the internet. So don't bother with it. Yesterday we talked about how to run a little Minecraft server on it and actually use it. And also, of course, using virtualization with Proxmox. Today I want to go back into the hardware side, and as day 4 will come around, I will try to run a Battlefield 3 server on it, because I found actually the files for it. I found everything that I need, basically. There's a tutorial online that's from September last year, so chances are good that it's still working. And I would love to include this into this series to have, on the one side, a little bit of hardware things and actual use cases, and the off parts basically going into more software details, how to use them and set them up. So yeah, there's a few things more coming as long as I don't know, have fun with it. And if you join me on the ride, welcome. And if not, I will see you in the next video again. So let's begin. I have here 2 more RAM sticks. These are almost the same. Corsair DDR3 2 times 4 GB. Again, DDR3 RAM sticks. They're running on 1600 megahertz, and they have even the same speeds with 9924 at 1.65 volts. So I specifically picked these up very cheap, actually, for just I think 36 euros. Could be much more, but I think in just, hey, this is additionally 8 gigabytes to the 8 that I already have in here, making it 16 overall, and giving me, at least especially in Ubuntu and Windows 10, enough headroom to work with that. I mean, I only have a 4-core CPU in there. I'll maybe try out a little bit of overclocking, but just a tiny bit. And of course, with that, we also need more power. And I already posted on Twitter the joke like, hey, what's missing in this PC? And it was, you know, that one cable for the PCIe connector. Well, I have this new PC here by Aerocool. I could have picked something else. Even in this line, there's a non-RGB version, and even with more power, which wouldn't have the same price as the ones I have right here. So this is a 550 watt Aerocool RGB ATX PSU, which I'll use in this PC. We won't see the RGB really, maybe for the back side, but the cool thing is there's a button on the back, and I was thinking, hey, maybe if I completely, you know, swap out the case, I still already have a nice PSU that I can use with it, you know, if I, just in case, you know, if I want to use it with a bit of RGB on the side, because my living room has actually some RGB lights in there, so it could be a fine addition. And because I couldn't decide, I went for the RGB enabled one, which I can still, again, disable by just a button push on the backside. But enough talking, let's get into the hardware and swap everything out or edit as needed. Alright everyone, and it is actually a new day, and the reason for that is, one, whilst working on my computer, I noticed 2 things. One, I was getting a severe headache, and I instead decided to just lay down. I mean, there's still one more day to go before I lose my video upload streak, so I figured, hey, why not? And the second thing is, actually, I did a mistake. When I ordered the PSU, I didn't fully notice that there was one thing missing, and that was a second PCIe power cable output. So what did I do? I tried it out first to use the SATA connectors and bundled them together to get a 6-pin, but it was commonly referred to on the internet as you can do that, but you really shouldn't. And since I was also running on the same, you know, bundled together cable, the drives, I was thinking, okay, maybe this is too risky. So instead I decided to, okay, I will return this cheap PSU, which did look quite nice with RGB lights on, and will actually get a new one. So I spent almost double and got this Be Quiet PSU. This is the Straight Power 11 for around €100 and it's fully modular, and with that I definitely have enough power outlet. It's even rated 80 plus gold, silent wings, which is nice of course. I wanted to have it to be silent, and of course it has full cable management, so fully modular. It has 2 PCIe slots right there for power, of course for the motherboard, the CPU, and additionally 3 drive power outlets, so more than enough. Even if I decide to later on include more, for example drives in my server, I can still use that same power supply for that. I calculated originally on the internet that I have to use around a 480 watts power supply, so 550 should actually be enough. I would have gone one step above 650, but actually from the series it's not released yet. It's set on Amazon, so I was like, well, I want to be done with this, so I'm gonna get this one. So what we'll do today is to build this one in, and as I said yesterday also, I was thinking about getting a smaller one, and I saw a 120 SSD just cost €20, so I figured, well, why not just do it all at once? So this is another boost, of course, to the performance. I did spend a little bit more than anticipated at first, but I guess the investment will be worth it in the long run. I also got this little sled for just $5, so I can put the SSDs actually into the slot for the HDD, so it's all locked up and nicely, of course. And this one can actually hold 2 SSDs at once, so that's extra nice, of course, for me. So without further ado, let's continue the building and let's get this server running. Alright, time to see what's up. So, the RAM bars, I noticed one thing. The old ones were 2 gigabytes times 2, and the new ones are 4 gigabytes times 4. So, I guess I have 4 gigabytes of RAM just for the server and 8 gigabytes for the VMs, which is kind of nice. That's kind of good. And with the power, yeah, everything's connected. I have proper power now to the VGA cable. It's a bit saggy, sadly. Everything's connected through the SATA ports here. I have actually the SSDs up here on top. I could potentially put 2 more HDDs in here. And I definitely have enough power for that because I only have one of the drive powers connected to the PSU, so there's 2 more. And everything's kinda, it's not neat anymore as it was before because there was lights in there, but I used only one cable for the SSDs and the HDD, and because they're so close to each other, it's a bit messy. I could spec them apart a little bit, I guess, but oh well, here we are. So everything's built now. Let's then put everything together, connect it, boot it up, and install Proxmox again. Basically undoing everything we've done before, but on the other hand, I have a 500 gigabyte SSD then as a base for the VMs and a 2 terabyte HDD for storage in general, which is quite nice. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and we're back again. So the last part I actually showed you how to make your own Minecraft JavaScript server with MineOS here, and it's quite good, but it doesn't allow consorts to connect. So what I'm gonna do is I create a new VM, and I'm gonna quickly show you how to make an MC Bedrock server, because luckily we also have the server files for this. So what we're gonna do is make it an Ubuntu live server, because it's Linux, the latest kernel. We also don't need to change anything, so we just hit start after created and finish it.
And then we click into it and go into the console. And I'm going to quickly install Ubuntu Live Server. Right, so let's boot up Ubuntu on the server, and then I'm going to quickly show you how to install a Minecraft Bedrock server, because that is actually super easy. I used a guide for that. I will link, of course, the original guide in the video description down below. And now we're logged in. So now that we're actually logged in as the admin, we can install everything. What we first need is actually a script, which we get from this link. So what we need is the command wget https raw.github-user-content.com/the remote Minecraft Bedrock server master, and then the script setup minecraft.sh. We're going to download that. Once that is done, we can give it a permission to use that script. We do that by making the command hmod +x setup minecraft.sh, and then it has permission to use it. We can start it, and that is simply done by hitting /setup minecraft.sh. We need to use the parser, of course, again, and now it's getting to work. And the script will set it up automatically, everything. Super easy, actually. It should automatically ask us about, hey, do we want to start this server automatically on boot? And we say, yes, we want that, because that's what makes it so easy. Because this VM here, MC Bedrock, can just be stopped and booted. And once that is done here from the console, which you can also use on your phone, it will automatically also start the MC Bedrock server, which is a thing because I actually started it on my phone, and on my phone it looks like this. Alright, so this is my phone. This is connected to the PvE server, and if I flip it over quickly, you can see it in an even better mode. So again, the same warning, it doesn't trust it because it's self-signed SSL protocol. It is safe though. And we log in again. Alright, and let's log in. And this is what you see basically. And you just have the data center and your Noti, which is the PC. And then in your virtual machines, you can scroll up. I'm gonna quickly flip over it again because it's easier to see. So we have the MC Bedrock right now. We see it's active. And besides what it has and a few basic statistics, the responsive version of the PvE web UI isn't that fully usable for us on mobile. But we can start it, we can stop it, we can shut down, suspend it, whatever. We have actually a log into the console, which is failing right now because we're already using one. But what's really cool about this is we can at least see that it's running. So if I don't want to go to my PC, for example, but use this Bedrock server, I just open up my phone, log in quickly, boot it up, and it automatically starts also the Minecraft Bedrock server. So that's why it's cool that it is actually booting on, well, boot the Minecraft server for the Bedrock version automatically when I boot this VM. So this is what we see here with level 9 Bedrock level, game mode survival, difficulty easy. And if I jump over here to Minecraft Bedrock, I go to play, go to servers, and I can add a server. Please enter the server name. Very easy, that's just the house test server. It's not with the Java version where we can just broadcast to the network that here's the server, so it's a little bit different, but nonetheless, you can go like this, 5, and hit play, and it should automatically tell us, hey, we're connected, play connected house test with my UID, and it's locating it here, and we're done. We're actually inside a Minecraft Bedrock server that's running in my own network. Here's the one thing though that's really a bit sad about Minecraft Bedrock. I said it's also the version that's running on console, but here's the thing. Oh, this boots actually very nicely. Only the Windows 10 version can actually use this direct connection to a server. So if you have a Nintendo Switch, Xbox One or PlayStation, there are servers though, but they are featured. You cannot put in your own IP. So basically the sole exercise was for nothing, but at least you know at least 2 ways now how to make a Minecraft server on your own machine with Proxmox, so I guess that's worth something. In case the consoles do get the option to connect to a server directly, Then we can also use the consoles to connect to this server, and I can play together with them, also including the Windows 10 version. That would be the dream, especially when you just have some, play together time, but not necessarily in a way that is based only around what's directly available here, because you can actually play with friends in an invited game. But what if I don't want to log in necessarily? That case would be really great if I can just use any account. And I thought it was peaceful. It's not peaceful if there's zombies, oh no! Oh well, I'm just gonna quickly save and quit. So yeah, that's it. This is how you set up a Minecraft Bedrock server and why it's not that useful right now. I want to be done with this series because there's a few projects that I also want to do in this month, and we're running out of month. So this is the last part where we talk about benchmarks, how we'll end up using the PC for now, and what's also in the future coming maybe to this build. So let's sit down and let's finish off Office PC turned home server. When I started this whole series, I began a journey and learned a lot. I wanted to both learn something about home server appliances, how to set them up with VMs, how the technology can work, and how really powerful does a home server need to be for at least some basic uses. And I learned a lot. And with the additional case that I also wanted to use this PC that I built as a dual boot between Windows and Proxmox, I learned also a lot about how to set it all up, and really that it's kind of crappy. There's a lot of things that are very tricky with the way how Proxmox uses drives and everything, and how Windows also wants to stay at top of everything else. So let's start with the first step of dual booting and then talk about benchmarks. Because the very interesting thing about dual booting PC with Windows and actually Debian, a Linux distribution on which I can install Proxmox, is that again you need firstly everything on one drive, and SSDs can't go as high as HDDs with the partitions. So since I need a lot of partitions for both Windows and the Linux system, I can only install everything, at least as far as I tried, on the HDD, which is of course slower and a little bit louder regarding, of course, when it's being used. When I'm using Windows right now, I can hear the HD quite loud compared to when I was having everything on the SSD. And of course, in regards, for example, using Proxmox on an HD instead of an SSD is one, the download or upload times, for example, of ISO files towards the Proxmox server to use them for installation purposes on a VM is drastically lowered. Although not as much as I would say it's not worth it. It is absolutely worth it having both run on one box. It's just noticeably slower. The big advantage, of course, is though that you can have a lot of space in it, and if you want to run a VM on an SSD, you can still do that. And for the Windows configuration, you can still use an SSD to run games on it. It took me a few attempts to get it all to work at all. It doesn't work using the Proxmox installer. You need to install Debian first, and through that, then install Proxmox, or else you will lose the complete drive. So there's ways around that to make it work, but it's a little bit, tricky, and I wouldn't really spend too much time on it elsewise. If you want to do it yourself, check out the description. There's everything I used as sources for my attempt to make it work. And it did. So that's good. Was it all worth it? In the end, I would say yes. Again, I learned a lot, as we heard from the first part. And on the second part, talking about benchmarks, I gotta say, this old PC, using my old AMD Radeon 7970 HD graphics card and the Office PC provided Intel i5-3470 CPU, is quite a good combination. I'm running actually a very lengthy cable of HDMI through my living room here to get it to the TV directly, and it's working very fine actually. I can run some other games on there. I can stream them from my main PC over to this smaller PC via Steam in-home sharing, making it basically a very powerful Steam Link. And that's good because the Steam Link that I used prior actually failed me a lot. So this PC already proves a lot better in just using it as a Steam Link. I would maybe update in the future PC with a better graphics card. For example, the benchmarks for the AMD 5600 XT came just out today, and with around $300 of price, it's quite good for what it also will deliver in performance. And compared, of course, to my HD 7970, it will be much better. So at least, some mid-range games, from maybe
3 years ago will still run on this rather low-end PC, but directly of course connected to my TV, where I can enjoy them in a very big fashion, but also still with low latency times compared to the streaming fashion, where there is some latency between the host PC, the big one, which I edit this movie also on, and of course this new office and home server PC. Destiny 2 actually ran on this PC, though I can't really show you the numbers. If I try to record on the same system with OBS, it is very bad. And just trust me, in general, the game didn't run that well, even in 1080p with low settings. I averaged around 30 to 40 FPS, and it was still sometimes having hiccups. So I'm guessing the GPU is also a bit, just done for, but it still works at least fine for the in-home streaming appliances. Then of course Half-Life, which had some issues with loading times, which I didn't expect. Between some zones, the loading area were just taking a lot of time to let me continue. And in Crysis, it actually worked sort of well. I had used the automatic settings just given to me by Crysis. I should lower it even lower actually than the one that Crysis set up, and I should be kind of fine to play this old title. So to answer it, yes, it does run Crysis. Again, I would probably update the GPU still in the end, because besides the performance that it has, it is also very loud. This is a very loud GPU. I could buy a good mid-range, AMD Radeon, for example, 5600 XT, which hopefully is a little bit less power hungry and also a little bit quieter because it has better modern, coolers on it. This graphics card is really old. And if you want some numbers to that, here are the current performance numbers of Time Spy, Firestrike, and that gaming laptop benchmark that you can get in 3D Mark. But even if you just compare Cinebench next to each other, you really notice that the i5 3470 is also kind of old. Just 4 cores, no extra threads, just 4 cores, 4 threads, compared to an AMD 2700X with 8 cores and 16 threads. Yeah, at least in that benchmark, it really falls behind. In the end, what's the future of this Office PC turned home server? Well, again, I want to do a few more videos in the future. Not in the very near future, but in the future at least, about how to run more servers in your home work, how to run old gaming servers on your own machine using this dedicated setup. And also I want to maybe improve it a little bit, for some retro gaming. There's one really cool use case that I have with this PC in the living room, and that is that I have all my consoles in here where I can play, with 4K HDR and everything. But I would really love to have actually, a device here where I can record, so I don't need to get the console over in my office and record there on that PC. I now have a very cheap PC here that still does it. It is actually recommended to have an i5 of the 4th generation of Intel CPUs by Elgato, but this 3470 actually still does the job to record both in OBS using the Elgato HD60 that I have here, or just directly in game capture. So at least for 1080p recordings, it's actually doing quite well. And who knows, maybe in the future I have this very nice standalone box where I can also transfer over some content, at least on this PC, or just put it over to my office PC. But nonetheless, there is at least right now a very good recording station, at least here, with enough space to have some hours just running, and I'm just gaming here, and I don't need to worry about having any other system hooked up or needing to hook up any new system, so just that I can record some retro gaming footage, or maybe modern console gaming footage, just like Death Stranding, for example. Nonetheless, maybe an upgrade to the GPU again would be nice, because if I do some retro gaming on PC here, the GPU that is in there right now is quite loud, so a little improvement with a minor investment in the future would be still nice. And in regards to what I've learned looking back at the beginning of the video, when I said I wanted to learn about Proxmox and home servers and everything and virtualization, I can clearly say I learned a lot, and I appreciate that I took this attempt first with a very cheap machine that I equipped with some smaller things, and then continuously upgraded over the course of the last few weeks. Because right now I feel like I'm confident, if I want to do it properly next time, actually, configure my own home server by myself with the proper parts, of course, using a good CPU of the modern time, of course, with ECC memory, and of course dual SSDs for great configurations, of course, for redundancy and safety, of course, and what else I want to do with it. And of course there are a lot of things that I can try out, at least right now, but in the future I'm at least prepped to know what I will do next. So even if I would break this old thing, I wouldn't feel sorry about it. Good thing everything still works. And I have a lot of good use cases, both for using this as a Windows PC as is, or using it via Proxmox as virtualization engine for my home network. And that is for now the end of the Office PC turned home server series. I hope you liked watching it. Hope you learned something on the way. I have a few things that I want to do in the future. For example, running my own dedicated CSGO server here in a VM, which has proven already to be a bit tricky, as I already had an attempt with it, but didn't work out quite well. And then there's also another thing that I want to do, and that is running Battlefield 3 for a Battlefield Hardline service on this machine. Because, you know, these games are really cool and they're dying out a little bit, and I think if I can make it work on this PC here, and I can bring it to some LAN parties maybe in the future, I think that would be just the thing that I'd need for some excellent, well, not really retro gaming experiences, but at least, you know, for the time of the FPS genres, really classical experiences. So expect more videos for that in the future. For now, we'll take a break from the whole project and do something else next. Hope you're with me, subscribe if you're not yet, and of course, my name is Austin for the new Byte. Thanks for watching, and always see you soon. Bye bye.